All right, let's look at some sample lesson plans using the information that we know, and we're going to start with grade 3. So you will see that the segments in these grade 3 plans are set up to take into account that the attention span for grade 3 is between 16 and 24 minutes, and the duration for learning something new is just 5 minutes for grade 3. So let's have a look. We've got the attention spans and the learning durations here. As a reminder, we've got their age. And what we're going to look at first is when you're planning to introduce new learning. Now remember, this is not something that happens every single club, but it is a special type of planning because we need to take into account how long children can concentrate on new learning. So we're working with grade 3, and initially we are working with 60-minute clubs. Okay, clubs that take 60 minutes or that you have 60 minutes for. So the first thing we like to do in a club is to do a mental starter. So some kind of number talk or some kind of mental work that the children gets them into the idea that they're now here, they're in the club, they're doing maths. And for grade 3, this can be 10 minutes. Then we move on to, if we are introducing some new learning to the children, then we need to give them a bit of an introduction. We need to explain something. We need to do some examples, whatever they are. So with the grade 3s, you should be spending about 3 minutes doing this introduction with them. Okay, and then you might give them an activity that is related to the new learning that you've introduced. And so for grade 3s, this activity should not be longer than 5 minutes. And we're doing this at the start of the club. So we've done the mental starter and then we're straight into the new learning. This is so that the children's brains are still receptive to new learning before they get tired. Then, after they've done some new learning, we should give them a brain break. So remember that a brain break is about 2 minutes. So you can refer to your notes. This could be anything like jumping around, throwing a ball, anything like that, that gets them out of their seats and getting the blood flowing through their bodies and through their brains, and just saying, okay, finish that activity, now we're going to move on to the next one. So again with grade 3s, we could now move on to, they've done their new learning, we could practice and consolidate something that they already know, and this could take up to 20 minutes. So remember that the grade 3 attention span is between 16 and 24 minutes, so around 20 minutes is a good enough time slot for practicing. And then because you're doing a 60-minute club, you might have 15 minutes for a game at the end of the club that you can do with the learners. So let's look at the summary of this process. 10 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, is roughly 55 minutes in a 60-minute club. So what would this plan look like, still for grade 3, if you only have 45 minutes for your club? Let's see how that changes how much time we spend on things. So we're obviously going to start with a mental starter again, as we did before, and that's grade 3's 10 minutes. Then, as we did before, we are introducing new learning, explaining something, showing examples, putting the idea into context, whatever it is. And again, as we did before, that is 3 minutes. Then we're going to give the children about 5 minutes to practice that new learning, or to think about that new learning and to engage with it in some way. Okay, so that's the 5 minutes, because that's all they can cope with at grade 3 level. And again, we're doing it at early on in the club session so that their brains are still fresh and receptive. Then, of course, we've done some new learning. The children's brains have worked hard. It's time for a brain break, which is about 2 minutes long. And then, because we are in a 45-minute session, we can spend 20 minutes practicing something that they already know, maths knowledge that they already have. So let's look at all of that together. So this is a 45-minute session. This planning here comes to about 40 minutes. Okay, so we're still on grade 3, and we're now back to a 60-minute club session. But this time we're looking at what happens if we just want to practice existing learning. So we're not introducing anything new to the children. How can we structure the session so that they can practice all the mathematics that they already know and consolidate that? So again, remember, the attention span is between 16 and 24 minutes, and new learning is between 5 and 7 minutes. Okay, so as with everything, we start with a mental starter, and because it's grade 3, 10 minutes is about a good duration for that. Then we straight into practicing existing learning. So we can do a 20-minute slot, which consolidates as an activity that will allow them to work on what they already know. Then, after they've done a 20-minute slot, remember their attention span is between 16 and 24 minutes. They can have a brain break for 2 minutes, jump around, do something, get the blood flowing. Then you can put in a game, which of course allows them to practice existing learning, and that can be about 20 minutes. So if you look at that, that comes to about 52 minutes, all of that together, in a 60-minute session. So, you could extend the bits a little bit in each case to fill the 60 minutes. So what happens now if we do the grade 3s and we want them to practice their learning, but we've only got a 45-minute club? Let's see what happens to the planning for that. Yes, we start with a mental starter, which is about 10 minutes. Then we practice our existing learning for 15 minutes. So that's a little bit less than we did in the 60 minutes. We have a brain break for 2 minutes. We jump around, we do something, we change the pace. And then we can do a game for 15 minutes. So you can see here that the practicing existing learning and the game, which both are practice, are the same. They're 15 minutes. And this comes to roughly 42 minutes of your 45-minute club.